Welcome, everyone. Today, we're diving into transitioning experience to a new field. This is part 2 of 3 of our webinar series that we have going on. Whether you are a student, a career changer, or someone looking to sharpen your skills, understanding really how to transfer your skills and experience can be very beneficial when it comes to your job search and preparing for a career change or just making that switch or even growth. So feel free to take notes, ask questions in the chat. We'll be able to address them here at the end of this presentation. We also have Meredith, another career coach here, monitoring the chat. And my name is Taylor, and then I'll be presenting the first half of today's presentation, and then Stacy will be doing the second half. So we're really excited to be here with you. And throughout this time, we will ask some reflection questions. So if you would like to answer any of them in the chat, feel free to do so just to keep that conversation going. We would love to hear from you. And if not, I encourage you just to kind of write it down, jot it down on a piece of paper, just to have some notes as you reflect back on today's presentation. So let's get started. Over the next 30 minutes to an hour, we're going to be exploring and identifying those transferable skills, learning how to craft a tailored resume using those skills, as well as cover letters, building that professional brand, and really networking for a career transition. So let's start with transferable skills. What are they? How can I use them? Transferable skills, they are going to be your career superpower. So transferable skills aren't just nice to have, they are that secret tool within your professional toolkit. These are the abilities to develop that real world experience, your education, volunteer work. This is how you're developing them. Even personal projects, they travel with you from job to job and industry to industry. So when you shift careers or step into a new role, it's not about starting from scratch. It's about leveraging what you already know, what you already have, and knowing how to apply that, right? So let's explore how to showcase those transferable skills and what some of those transferable skills are. I'm going to go through about 5 of them with you guys today and showing you how you could highlight both your experience and your potential for impact in a way that highlights both your experience and the value those skills bring to the table. So let's start with problem solving. This is one of those skills that shows up on almost every job description, right? Like you have to know how to problem solve, or you need to work through certain aspects of a job. And this shows up for very good reason on most of those job descriptions, right? So employers aren't just really looking for someone who can spot the issues. They want someone who can step in, map out those solutions, and really follow through. When you showcase this skill, you don't want to just state your problem solving. You want to focus on those examples where you identified a challenge, you built out a plan, and then you saw those real results from that problem. So let's go into some different examples. Maybe you streamlined an outdated process to save time and reduce errors, or resolved a customer concern before it escalated. These stories show that you're not just reactive to a problem, you're proactive in your solution focus to solving that problem. And then next up is leadership. And here's the thing, leadership is not about titles. So if you might think, oh, I've never been a manager or a CEO or a supervisor, that's okay. So whether you've mentored a colleague, led a meeting, trained a new team member, or organized a project from start to finish, those experiences count as leadership. And every student alumni I have worked with, they have some leadership components to them. They've had those moments, whether they've recognized them or not. So I know that you all possess leadership in some type of capacity. So really think about, what leadership experience do I have? How can I demonstrate that to different employers and recruiters? So employers want to see both that formal and those informal ways that you've stepped up, taken initiative, and guided others towards success. And that's what you can implement on your resume, cover letter, and interview. And we're going to get into more of that here in a little bit. Now let's move on to communication. Strong communication goes far beyond writing that clear email. It goes far beyond just saying, I know how to communicate on a resume. Employers value people who can adjust their tone, adjust their message for different audiences, present ideas with clarity and confidence, and give and receive feedback with professionalism. There's a lot that ties into that communication component. So think about those different ways that you have utilized communication. How do you do it on a daily basis? What experience do you have in various capacities or with different stakeholders, people that you've worked with? Maybe you've had to explain a technical issue to a client, present ideas to a team, or smooth out miscommunications. These examples show that you understand the value of clear and thoughtful communication. So really take some time to reflect on that. And of course, no matter the job, and this one I really want to emphasize because it's going to be really important, that no matter the job, collaboration and teamwork are always part of the equation. Even for positions that do seem mostly independent, there are still going to be those times that collaboration and teamwork is going to be needed. And employers want to know that you can work with people across departments, cultures, and backgrounds. So when you share your experience, include examples of how you work through differences, contributed to collective wins, or supported a team in reaching a shared goal. Collaboration just shows that you understand that success really happens alone. It takes multiple people to help reach it, right? And then another one that we really don't want to overlook, that's a very, very, very essential transferable skill are those technical skills. So another type of this transferable skill that can really help you to stand out are knowing how to use technical tools for that industry or previous knowledge of a similar tool. Platforms and systems, they change constantly. So the ability to demonstrate that you have a grasp on technology tells employers that you're current, you're flexible, and you're resourceful. Whether it's knowing how to use a software platform like Python or social media platforms like Instagram or Indeed, knowing how to keep up with those, or navigating project management tools like Asana. Technical skills will be needed in this digital age. So demonstrating that you have those technical abilities, especially if you're like in the medical field, there's different types of software platforms out there. So just think back on some of those technical skills that you do have and how you can highlight them as you move forward, making your professional brand, building that resume, and preparing for those interviews. And then finally, there's time management. Employers want to know that you can stay focused and deliver results. You can say, oh, I'm really great at time management, but how are you great? What have you done to effectively manage different projects? This is what they want to see. So not only do they want to see that you can stay focused and deliver those results, but they also want to know that you can handle that pressure. So think about how you prioritize your tasks and meet those deadlines. Do you use tools like Asana to manage workflows? Do you break down projects into smaller, manageable tasks? Do you delegate when needed? Asking for assistance. Showing that you have a good workflow in place, managing your time will help you to stand out to these different employers and recruiters. So now that we've identified a few different transferable skills and some of the, I would say, top 5 skills that are usually looked for in those job descriptions and within companies, let's walk through a simple 3-step process together, highlighting how your transferable skills, like how to put them together. How do you identify them? So the first step is reflect on what you did in your roles. Again, not just that title. What problems did you solve? Who did you work with? What kind of impact did you make? That's the stuff that employers care about. Not, again, not just looking about, oh, I was a supervisor, so I did all the supervisor things. No, there's more to what you've done. You have contributed in impactful ways. And what ways were they? And then you can go through and pinpoint some of those, you're going to look back, that's step 2. You're going to look back across your past roles and your current role and see if you spot any of those patterns. Did you always end up leading a team, organizing projects, or teaching others? These are your transferable skills. This is what you're using industry to industry, job to job. And if it's been a while for some of those past roles, maybe you've been in your role for 20 years and you're like, I don't know what I did 10 years ago or 5 years ago or even last year. That's okay. So look at old job descriptions, pull those back up. And if that's not something you've done, you might be able to research some similar roles to say, oh, yes, this is what I've done. Or if you're in your current role now looking to prepare to move up, always hold on to that job description. So that way, when it is time to move on or move up, you have that to always refer back to. But it just helps jog your memory. So show those skills that you've come up, look for those skills that have come up time and time again. And that's what's going to be transferable, right? And then lastly, you're going to put together all of this. You're going to read through those job announcements, see what you already have. How can you transfer this into this position? Reflect on that, matching your skills with that job description, what that employer or company is looking for. What do you possess? So we're going to talk about an example of, looking at those transferable skills and that possible industry that you might look into transferring to. So for example, you might have worked as a retail store manager, and the skills you've built there are like team leadership, conflict resolution, scheduling, customer service, and training new hires, even performance management. All of these are directly transferable to roles like human resources, office management, and even corporate training. So while the work setting may change, even though you're not that retail store manager, you're looking to move, you're looking to change roles, you have those experiences, you have those skills that can be used in these other types of roles and jobs. So again, that work settings changed, but the ability to lead people, handle operations, and create a positive workplace culture, it does remain the same. And that's what's going to be important to reflect upon. So with that, a question I have for you all is, where do you see your transferable skills fitting into? What role is it that you're targeting? Have you thought, just in this moment, like, oh, I do have this skill. I can see how this skill could be used in this role. If you have thought of some of those, I encourage you to jot it down or drop it in the chat. What role are you looking to do? What are some of those skills that you can see yourself applying into a role like that? So would love to hear from you. And if not, that's okay too. But I do encourage you, again, just to write it down for that reflection component. Now that we've talked about our transferable skills, let's talk about how to build your professional brand. Your personal and professional brand is how you present yourself professionally to the world. And it's especially important when making that career transition or that's even career growth. It helps potential employers and recruiters see that value that you bring, even if even if you are moving up in the same industry or making that change into a new industry. A strong personal brand highlights your skills, your experience, and expertise in a way that aligns with your career goals. And it's what I like to say for this brand building, it's an extension of your resume. We have 2 pages to talk about all the great things you've done, all the great things you've accomplished. How do I fit it all into 2 pages? Sometimes we just can't, and that's okay because you've done great in accomplishing things. But here's where you can build your brand up. Find that focus in what you've done in your past career. So you've gone through your transferable skills, you've found some common patterns. Now we're gonna really hone in on that and that strategic approach and start building upon that to focus those skills into a new industry. So let's talk about how we build it. Start with building your LinkedIn profile. This is a great starting point. Making sure it reflects your career change, pivot, or growth with a strong summary that highlights those skills, those transferable skills, and the industry that you're focused on. So if you're moving from healthcare into IT, talk about how those can correlate together. What are some things that you've done in healthcare that relate, healthcare information systems? What have you done with that? Really highlight how you have knowledge on that, how you had to troubleshoot some of those hiccups that might have happened with some systems. Really focus on how you can combine your skills together. But update your experience section to reflect on some of those experiences and skills that employers and recruiters will be looking for. Add relevant coursework. So if you are newer to this industry, highlighting some of those research projects, group projects, highlighting that on the education section can be really beneficial. Certifications and showcasing any key projects that you've really worked on that LinkedIn profile. Again, this is it, and LinkedIn provides kind of that step-by-step process. So this is a good starting point for starting that professional brand and that image that you want to put out to others about who am I? Here is what I have to offer. Start drawing them in that way. And then next, when it comes to creating that personal brand, creating a portfolio that you can link to your resume or even on LinkedIn. This could be a personal website, an online portfolio, or even just a well-organized Google Drive folder with examples of your work. This is going to come down to what you want to do in your industry with what would be a good fit for you in those next steps to take or expanding upon that. You don't have to create a portfolio. It's just another option to branding yourself and what you bring to the table and to really show others outside of that resume and cover letter who you are. So with creating a portfolio, you can include projects, reports, case studies, presentations that demonstrate your skills. If you've published any articles, do podcasts, research, blog posts, you can feature them all here on a portfolio, and it helps establish that credibility. So feel free to check out our YouTube video on a past webinar on leveraging an e-portfolio for some more in-depth information if this is something that interests you. The link will be dropped in the chat. Thank you, Meredith, for doing that. On that YouTube, it's up on YouTube for that webinar. The other part about building that personal and professional brand is networking. So you're taking all the right steps. You have LinkedIn together, or you've created a portfolio, or maybe you're doing both. Doing this is going to establish your presence. Now you want to get it out there to your network. So engage with professionals in your target field by joining LinkedIn groups, attending industry events, and participating in online discussions. Those are just a few ideas to get started. The more visible and active you are, the stronger your brand is going to become, and you're really going to start gaining that visibility. So we're going to talk more about this networking component here in the upcoming slides with Stacy, but that's just a key component when it comes to building that personal and professional brand, is really getting who you are out there within your network. And then finally, showcase your expertise, just again, beyond that resume. And I know I mentioned some things like showing off your research or projects. If this isn't something you've done, consider writing your own blog post, sharing insights on LinkedIn, contributing to those industry discussions. Create your own events if that's something you're interested in. Maybe you want to go in the environmental science field and help others learn about astrology. And so you meet at a local park once a month to stargaze and things like that, and map it out. There's a lot of great transferable skills that goes into that one thing. You have to create the event, you have to advertise and market and design. There's so much that goes into it. Communicate with different audiences, educate. So think of things like that that can really start helping you to showcase beyond some of those other skills that you already have, or strengthen them, or even fill in those gaps for roles that you're interested in. But anyways, I kind of got a little off course there with building that professional brand, but I just want to help you think outside the box on some things that can help you showcase your expertise beyond what you've already done. So if you, again, are looking to transfer into another field or grow in your field, think of some of those ways that can help connect you. And with all of this said, and some of those ideas that I just presented you, I have another question is, how can you start building your professional or personal brand today to help reflect your new career direction or your career growth? Take some time to think about what are the steps that you're going to take moving forward to help gain that visibility. What's going to be possibly a good fit? What are you going to start researching? So think about some next steps, and we would love to hear what you think your next steps would be on creating your personal brand. So feel free to, again, to drop that in the chat or just jot that down. I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Stacy, and she's going to kick us off with networking and why it matters.
Thank you, Taylor. So yes, so to build on what Taylor just spoke about in improving your personal brand or working on your personal brand, one of those key components she mentioned was networking. So why might networking be a key to a career transition or a career pivot, or even moving up in your career? When you're navigating a career transition or a career move, whether you're returning to the workforce, shifting industries, or looking at a role that better aligns with your goals, networking is one of the most powerful tools you can use. So let's start with a key insight. So did you know that 70 to 80% of jobs are found through networking rather than traditional job applications or job boards or the career site for different companies where they post it? So 70 to 80% of jobs are not initially found in those traditional realms. That statistic says a lot. While it's important to have a polished resume and apply to open positions, it's your relationships that often open the right doors. So networking can lead to job leads, mentorship opportunities, insider knowledge about industries or companies that you may be interested in. And sometimes it even leads to roles that haven't been posted yet. So through your network, you're able to find out about an upcoming opening before it becomes public knowledge or publicly posted. And why does that benefit you? You can be an early applicant, or you may be able to get your resume out there sooner for consideration just by utilizing your network. So you might ask, well, who's in my network? I am not involved in a lot of professional groups. I don't have any or significant work history to have those professional connections. Well, and it's really easy to make that assumption that you have to have that in order to have a network, or that you need to be always attending professional events, or even reaching out to people you barely know, friends of friends, or someone you met on LinkedIn. But your network is often closer and even richer than you think. So here's some examples of people who may already be a part of your network that could help you in that career transition, in that career pivot. Friends and family, neighbors, former coworkers or supervisors or former classmates, connections from volunteer work, fellow members of professional or community organizations that you might be involved with, intentional connections that you've made on platforms like LinkedIn or CareerLink. Even people that you've met through events, even if they're not career related events, maybe they're community events, or maybe just going out to dinner, webinars, or shared interests. All of these individuals could be helpful in your journey. And remember, networking is a two-way street. So when you stay connected and curious, you're not just asking for help, you're building mutual support and community. So you need to cultivate those connections. It's not enough to have 215 connections on LinkedIn if you aren't developing those relationships. So just a personal story. Um, on the effect that your network can have is recently my daughter was speaking with her fiance who is getting ready to graduate from college, and he has been job searching for several months now and is not having a lot of luck going forward. He did find some postings that he was interested in, and my daughter was able to recall a conversation that she had had with her uncle not too long ago about his internship when he was in college. And come to find out, these two postings her fiance had found were with the company he had done his internship with. So she reached out to her uncle and said, "Hey, he's looking at these two positions. Would you have any tips or any advice?" That then developed into a conversation between her uncle and her fiance. And now his resume is actually going to be hand delivered to the hiring manager for that role, purely from reaching out to a family in her network. So leverage those connections. What are some effective network strategies? Now that you know who all could be or is in your network, how can you effectively work your network? So if you're unsure where to start, here are some approachable and effective strategies to help you build and nurture your network during your career transition or during your career pivot. First, leverage LinkedIn, leverage CareerLink. Update your profile to reflect your goals and interests. Think about those topics that Taylor mentioned earlier on adding to your LinkedIn profile. Do the same with your CareerLink profile. Follow organizations and thought leaders in your targeted industry. Comment on posts, share articles, join discussions. Don't hesitate to send a friendly message when you make a connection. Even if it's someone you don't know, but it's someone with a shared interest or someone who's in a role that you're interested in. Introduce yourself and share your interest in learning more about their work. Secondly, attend those industry events. Join webinars, go to workshops or local meetups. Even if they're virtual, these can lead to growing your network, to growing your connections. Because these events are great places to meet other professionals, hear about industry trends, and practice talking about your goals and skills. But be genuine. Ask questions, take notes, and follow up with people afterwards. That's how you can continue to cultivate that connection. Thirdly, you might want to consider conducting informational interviews. This not only helps you in building your network, but it helps you learn more about your targeted industry or your targeted roles. Reach out to people who are doing work you admire or you are interested in and ask for 15 to 20 minutes of their time. And then when they agree to that, come prepared with thoughtful questions about their career path, their current role, industry insights, how they got into the role that they are in now, what their background was. And in this situation, you're not asking for a job, you're just gathering knowledge, which then, when you are genuine and thoughtful in your interactions, that can make a lasting impression. So let's think for a moment. Again, question time. Who are 3 people you could reach out to this week to support your career transition? And they don't have to be hiring managers. They could just be someone in your desired industry, a friend who might have helpful connections, or a family member and neighbor, or even someone who has recently made a career change themselves. Jot their names down and take that first step this week. Remember, you don't have to do this alone. Your network is one of your greatest assets, so make it work for you. And Taylor, if you don't mind moving to the next slide, that would be great. So, on top of building your network and cultivating it and taking care of it, other critical factors in your career transition or your job search is crafting that tailored resume and cover letters. We cannot stress this enough. That's why we always circle back to this. Crafting an effective resume is critical in today's workforce. Your resume needs to reflect not only what you've done, but also why it matters to your next role, to that targeted role. So here are some key strategies. First, highlight those transferable skills, those different skills that Taylor had talked about earlier. Even if your previous roles were in a different industry, or maybe you have had a significant career gap, you still might have worked on projects or volunteering or caregiving where you have cultivated quite a good set of transferable skills. You likely did develop those, and now they're going to be valuable in those targeted roles. Some of those skills that Taylor highlighted earlier that I just want to refresh your memory on are communication, project management, problem solving, team leadership or leadership in general, and even customer service. So don't be afraid to draw connections between your previous experience, whether that was gained in traditional employment roles or volunteering or those hobbies, interests, leading organizations, caregiving, parenting. All of those are valuable experience that create those transferable skills. Secondly, when crafting your resume, use those industry keywords and language. Carefully look at that job description and incorporate those relevant keywords, those terms and phrases. Because now many employers are using applicant tracking systems. Also, you will hear them referred to as an ATS. This is an AI-powered application or resume review system. What that system is doing is it is scanning for keywords. It's not evaluating your experience. It is just looking to see how the keywords and skills in your resume match the language in the job posting. So using the same language helps you get past these filters and shows that you understand the field. And then your resume would get seen by a hiring manager or human eyes. Always quantify your achievements. So whenever possible, use metrics to show impact. For example, you could say something like increased client satisfaction scores by 25%, or managed a team of 6 across 3 departments. What about reduced processing time by 30% through workflow redesign? These statements demonstrate your results and help potential employers see your value. So by expanding on what your responsibilities were and providing that data, providing those metrics, you are just showing the impact and how successful you were when you utilized those skills. And what about cover letters? I hear so often that we dread writing cover letters. And mostly when we dive deeper and I have conversations with students and alumni, I learn it's because Usually they tell me, I don't know how to write a cover letter. I've already done my resume. I've already told the prospective employer everything about my skills and career history. There's nothing left for me to say. Or people view writing a cover letter as another way to kind of regurgitate their resume. And that's not the case. You need to use your cover letter to help you tell your story. While your resume is going to show what you've done, your cover letter shows who you are and where you're headed. This is where your personality is. This is where your passion is. It's your opportunity to connect the dots for the prospective employer and bring your career transition to life. So when you're writing your cover letter, you want to make sure you customize your narrative. Don't reuse a standard template for every cover letter you write. Tailor your cover letter to each role, just like you do your resume. Explain why you're making a transition and how your background equips you to succeed in this new context. This is also a great place for you to address any resume or employment gaps you may have in your past. For example, if you are looking at making a career transition, possibly from education, maybe to the corporate sector, you might have a few lines in your cover letter that says possibly, after a decade in education, I've developed strong communication and leadership skills that I am excited to apply in a training and development role in the corporate sector. So that's just an example for you. It's also where you can show your passion and potential, like I mentioned earlier. Employers want to know why you're interested in their organization. Show that you've done your research and express enthusiasm for their mission, their values, or their impact that they have as a company. Confidence, curiosity, and motivation all count, and your cover letter is where you can highlight that. If you would like some guidance in tailoring your resume, in writing a cover letter, yes, you can always reach out to us here in Career Services, but we have an exciting tool that you may or may not be aware of. So try checking out Hiration on CareerLink. And I believe Meredith is going to drop that link in the chat. So if you're looking for extra support, Hiration is our AI-powered resume and cover letter builder that you can find in CareerLink under the resources tab or through the link that Meredith has dropped in the chat. Here's what it can help you do. It can help you format your resume in a professional way. It can help you tailor and improve the language within your bullet points. It also has a job match tool where you can copy and paste the job posting and assess how well your resume aligns with that specific job description. And then it will point out some key language or key skills you may be missing in your resume. And if you have them, then you'll know and be able to add them in. It will also walk you through the steps of writing a cover letter. And then from both the cover letter tool in Hiration and the resume builder tool, you can submit your materials to a coach for a personalized review. So check out that link to Hiration if you haven't already been there. Spend some time exploring it. You'll find it's going to be of great value to you in your job search. So another question, another time to reflect on what we've talked about so far. What is one transferable skill you want to emphasize in your resume and your cover letter? You can drop that in the chat or just jot it down to refer to later. Could it be your ability to lead teams? Possibly your ability to adapt, to change, solve problems, or build strong relationships? Identifying this key strength can help you shape a more focused and compelling application. And remember, you don't have to be a perfect match to be a great candidate. With thoughtful tailoring and confidence in your story, you can make a powerful impression, even if you're coming from a different background. And I like to tell the students and alumni that I work with that a job description is an employer's wish list. It's not their full end all be all requirement. So if you find that you're meeting 70, 75, 80% of the qualifications, absolutely go ahead and apply for that job. And then if you move forward, you can address where you might not meet all of the qualifications as being able to pick things up quickly, being a willing learner, any of those skills that you already developed, and then you can learn and grow within that career. All right, Taylor, if you don't mind moving forward to the next one. All right, so as we bring today's session to a close, let's take a moment to recap the core strategies that we've explored so far. Each one is designed to help you move forward in your career transition with greater confidence and clarity. So, our key points today have been identifying those transferable skills because we often overlook the skills that we've built through life experience, whether from past roles, volunteering, giving, personal projects, even hobbies. Today, we highlighted the importance of recognizing and naming those skills that can be successfully applied in a new industry or job function. Skills like communication, time management, problem solving, and leadership are valuable across many fields and in all industries. We talked about tailoring your resume and your cover letter. One size doesn't fit all, especially when it comes to your job application materials. Tailoring your resume and cover letter to align with the specific language, keywords, and priorities in the job posting is essential. This helps you stand out to both hiring managers and to beat those applicant tracking systems. We also addressed how to build a strong personal brand. Your personal brand is the way you present yourself professionally and authentically. That is a key. Make sure it is authentic. You don't want it to be fake or contrived. This is going to also include your resume, your LinkedIn presence, how you introduce yourself in personal interactions, and how you engage with your network. Consistency, clarity, and connection are key. And remember, maintaining your network is just as important as building it. A quick check-in or a thank you message goes a long way. You never know which relationship might lead you to your next opportunity. So, what are your next steps to keep your momentum going? Here are a few things you can do this week. You can update your resume and LinkedIn profile. Apply what we've covered today by refreshing your materials with a focus on relevance, clarity, and professional polish. Keeping your professional documents and your professional presence online up to date is crucial, even if you are in a role and you are not fearful at this time or concerned that role might be dissolved, or you might be in a situation where you do have to make a career change. It is always important to keep those professional documents up to date because you never know what might come down the line. It may be an unexpected layoff. It may be an opportunity that presents itself suddenly out of the blue that you didn't expect to be coming, so you want to be prepared. If you need help with your LinkedIn profile, with your resume tailoring, with your cover letter, don't forget about Hiration, our AI-powered tool there in CareerLink. It also includes a LinkedIn review feature, in addition to that resume builder and job match tools and cover letter writing tools. Reflect on your past experiences. So think about those moments, those projects, those roles, whether they were formal or informal, that have prepared you for your next step. How can you share those stories in a way that makes your strengths visible and valuable to employers? So think about those things, work on your resume, update your LinkedIn profile, start writing that cover letter, and join us for part 3, bouncing back from being laid off. If you've experienced a layoff or you're navigating uncertainty, our next session is designed just for you. In part 3, bouncing back from being laid off, we'll explore practical strategies for resilience, rebuilding confidence, and finding opportunity after career disruption. Meredith has dropped that registration link in the chat. And even if you don't think you are faced with any of these situations, you still might take away some valuable information. So I would encourage you to join. And maybe you know someone who could benefit. These sessions are open to the general public, so feel free to share that registration link with others in your network if you feel they could benefit. And we can move on, Taylor. So at this time, we want to thank you for attending today. As always, remember you can contact us directly at careerservices@apus.edu. If you tailor your resume and you want to send it to us, either submit it to us through Hiration for an expert review or email it to us at resumehelp@apus.edu. Again, we also provide industry-specific coaching. So if you would like to connect with a coach for some tailored personal coaching during your career transition or a pivot, again, reach out to us at careerservices@apus.edu or submit a coaching form from Career Services within your eCampus.